Well, the International Criminal Court is holding its first pre-trial conference on the case of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. A date for the trial proper has not been set. Key issues discussed so far include the number of witnesses and their security arrangements, as well as evidence to be presented. Duterte himself not present, having waived his right to appear in pre-trial proceedings. The ICC judge has also ordered a re-examination of Duterte's health as requested by his new legal team. Just last week, the court ruled against his temporary release, citing medical experts who found the former leader fit to stand trial. For all this, we're joined by William Denselow, Brussels. So he's covering this story for CNA. William, Mr. Duterte will still need to undergo another health check. Does this mean the court might still grant him temporary release?
Well, you mentioned the fact that he isn't in The Hague in person in the ICC court chambers for this hearing. And this, of course, is significant considering this leads to that speculation as to whether indeed his health will be a major factor in whether and indeed when this trial might begin in earnest. Now, as you rightly mentioned, we've seen in the pre-trial hearings that this issue of Mr. Duterte's health came up, and 3 medical examiners deemed that he was indeed fit to stand trial. There is now a new defence counsel in place, and they have filed a motion for a re-examination into the 81-year-old's health that has been granted by Judge Joanna Corner. Now, she is pressing that this is done in as an expedient manner as possible. She says she hopes to carry out this assessment at some speed. She acknowledges that this could have a major ramifications for this trial, not just when it comes to setting a trial date, but exactly what schedule this trial could look like. She speculated whether this could shorten the trial weeks, maybe even have a break midweek, if indeed that's deemed best for Mr. Duterte's health.
This pre-trial status conference, William, looks not just at a start date for the trial, but also more specific detail on witnesses allowed, evidence, the nature of this evidence. Did we see any decisions made on any of these other procedural matters?
That's absolutely right. We're starting to get a bit of a sense of what exactly and how exactly this trial could take shape at this early juncture. We understand that the judge leaning towards really allowing new discoveries to be entered into force until potentially August. And we also know from the prosecution that they're expecting in the region of 60 to 70 witnesses going forward. Still, much needs to be determined into how much time each witness will be allowed to provide their testimony going forward. But of course, as you rightly allude to, that huge question is when indeed this trial might get underway. And we're seeing some huge discrepancies from the various parties. Now, the prosecutors are calling for November 30th as a potential trial date. They say that they would be moving as quickly as possible to be ready for that date. The defence, they have not set a set date. They simply say that it's not possible to begin this trial this year. We've also heard from the counsel for the victims. Now, they say they'd love to begin this trial as early as tomorrow. They acknowledge that that's simply not possible. They're pushing for September as a start to this trial. But of course, there remains plenty to be seen, and most timely, perhaps, will be the report from these 3 medical examiners and indeed what that finds and how the judge interprets that medical diagnosis.
Oh, thanks. William Denselow reporting for CNA from Brussels. Of course, Rodrigo Duterte in the ICC facing trial for alleged crimes against humanity, of course, linked to his war on drugs. Philippine civil society groups forming an independent fact-finding body on this war on drugs. The Philippine Truth and Reconciliation Commission's main aim is to compile a public record of alleged extrajudicial killings and abuses. Human rights groups have been alleging that thousands of police officers directly involved in the anti-drug operation were not thoroughly investigated. They've also claimed the government's toll on drug suspects killed is not accurate, and that figure could be in the tens of thousands. The chief of the civilian-led body, a former ICC judge, has stressed that its goal is to guide accountability. He added that the panel is not seeking to replace the courts or to assign blame. The documentation process will be focused on survivor testimony. The panel will be holding public hearings to allow victims and witnesses to share their experiences. Recommendations for government agencies to follow up will be prepared, with findings released to the public every 6 months.